Is it just me, or does it seem like everybody is as inauthentic as possible right now? They're boring, they're fake, they are ghosting everybody, and it's like, I don't even know what to do with this anymore. I don't even know how to handle the fakeness of society because it's like at every single turn, you're looking at life and you're thinking to yourself, this is all that they've got? Really? Is this all that they have to offer? Is this mask? Because the men are being emasculated more so than ever before. The women are being encouraged to be 304s and SLUTs. I don't even know if I can say the words on YouTube anymore. On X, I know that I can say this, but seeing that this video is going to be posted on both, got to be mindful of it. But it's like, how are we supposed to deal with these fake people? How are we supposed to handle these people? Because everybody seems to be spiritually neutered. The world wants you to be spiritually neutered and castrated, and they want like men to have their balls chopped off, metaphorically, and given to the women so that women can do whatever they want. But then when the women lead in our relationships, everything goes to hell. I've yet to ever see a happy relationship in which the woman is leading and everything is working out peachy. Have you guys? Has anybody here seen a relationship where the woman is leading? Now, this does not mean that the woman is making less money sometimes, because I know a personal business owner, like a personal acquaintance here in town in my community. She's a business owner, and her husband is currently going to get his doctorate, and he's going to be a doctor. But she is bringing in all of the money right now. But that man is still leading their relationship. That man is still leading. And she is fully aware, like she is fully supportive. She fully believes in this man of hers, her husband. And it's like, these are the only kinds of happy relationships I see, is where the man is on his purpose. And what's interesting is, I've been thinking about this too, it's like you don't really find a purpose, right? You don't really find value or meaning in your life. Like the Bible does say stuff about this, find a wife and you find a good thing. Because having a woman in your life is valuable. If she's the right woman, she'll multiply instead of taking away from you. But it seems to me like you're more of a vessel. You're more of a vessel for things to be happening, and to be flowing through you. You're the one going and you're the one doing things, but it's your body is the vessel for consciousness and your soul. And you have this, like it is yours. But it's also not yours, like it belongs to God, right? But anyway, the point is where people seem to be really just not knowing how to mature. Like, is everybody immature? Because there's a lot of people that are mature, for sure. I would say maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 people in the population. I would say maybe we could be even a bit generous and say 25%, which, because according to statistics, 25% of the population has a healthy attachment style to secure relationships. But the other 75% have unhealthy attachment styles, like fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant, etc. And if you don't know your attachment style, which is a newly found psychological concept in which how you relate to other people, because depending upon how your environment was growing up, you might be in a peculiar situation where when somebody gives you authentic love, you don't know how to receive that. And so you push them away. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are ghosting nowadays, is because they have this unhealthy attachment style. They don't know how to communicate. I've literally had people tell me that they are really liking the person that they're seeing, and yet they push them away because they were like too into them. It's like, do you hear yourself? This is a sign of trauma. This is a sign of unhealed wounds. This is a sign of you have to realign who it is that you really are. Many people don't want to do this anymore. They don't want to get on the train of healthy relationship styles and attachment styles, because that means that they're going to have to be accountable, they're going to have to be responsible, and there's going to have to be a series of events in which they're going to be having to ground themselves in their own identity and remember what happened in their life. Many people don't want to remember what's going on in their life. They don't want to acknowledge that maybe they have some things to work on. Because if you acknowledge that you have some things to work on, that means you're not perfect. Anybody here seen Good Will Hunting? Remember when, I think his name's Will. Will talks to the Robin Williams character. Don't remember his name. It's been a minute since I've seen this, but I'm just thinking about it now. Where Will is talking to the therapist, Robin Williams, and he says, "Oh, I met a girl, she's really great. She's really cool, And the therapist says, "Well, so why haven't you called her? Like, have you called her?" And he says, no, I'm going to wait 3 days. And he's like, okay, why are you waiting? If this is like, call her up, champ, And he says, no, I know what I'm doing. And Robin Williams is like, his character saying, why are you trying to do this? What are you, if you like her, then why aren't you going after her? And why aren't you trying to start something? And Matt Damon, I think, is the character, or the actor for the character. He says, oh no, I know what I'm doing. And actually, Robin Williams' character convinces Will, subtly, that he actually might want to just go for what he wants. But this guy, Will, he's had a really hard life, and not many people in his past have stuck around. And he's a really smart kid intellectually, but when it comes to his relationships and emotionally, it's like he has a really hard time with trying to actually relate to other people. And this is where the rubber really meets the road here, because learning how to relate to other people is very important. The difficulty that we have as godly people is relating to people in a world where toxicity is the form in which people get their identity. It's really hard to relate to people in a world like that as a godly person. And it makes you feel like you're isolated. It makes you feel like you're alone. You're not really alone, though. I mean, you always have God, and you always have communities like the Regal Change Academy group that we have, for example, where you can actually reach out to other people and you can actually see, okay, is this going to be worth it for me to be around these kinds of people? And I've had people that they've been in the group for like 2 months or 3 months, and they start to go to the calls, or they start to engage more. Hell, we've even actually had people that have been in there for, golly, almost a year. And now they're finally starting to engage more. And they're like, man, the answer was staring at me right in front of the face, right in front of my face. I was so busy looking at what I don't have, I was not seeing what I actually can have. And I thought that was really powerful, because it goes to show that we get what we focus on. We get what we focus on. I'll say it again. We get what we focus on. They say like where your attention goes, energy flows, right? Well, I like to think of it as where you invest your time, so too will the repercussions of your actions manifest themselves diligently. But it's almost like people are so inclined to be hyper authoritarian in the way that they move nowadays. Like they're hyper tyrants and control freaks in their lives. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to control what you can control. In fact, I would encourage you to do so. But the issues really start to arise when you start to see that you're trying to control things in which you don't have control over. Okay, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and emperor, once said something along the lines that you have the ability to not allow anything to irritate you inside you. Nothing needs to irritate you. It doesn't need to upset you. Okay, and we did the Legends of Stoicism class series in the Regal Change Academy group a couple months ago. We started it and just finished it up, and now we're going to be doing the Prince, which I'm really excited for this week. But anyway, the point I want to drive home with this is like, people sometimes ghost you because they don't know how to relate to themselves, and they don't know how to have that inner stability. Ghosting is becoming so normalized nowadays, and just toxicity in general is becoming so normalized because we live in a society that encourages entertainment, encourages this idolization of celebrities, and social media definitely doesn't help much. But there's beautiful things about social media that ought to be seen and what social media ought to be. For example, channels like myself, I genuinely think that I'm trying to make a difference each and every way that I can through this kind of technology to influence people's lives for the better and to get them closer to God and encourage them to have a relationship with God. But there's also other channels, like this one guy I just saw this guy the other day, and I posted about it in the Regal Change Insights Telegram channel that we have. And all those links are in the description box below, by the way. But check that out. I checked out this guy that quit his job. He quit his job in Oregon, and now he's sailing to Hawaii because he was deemed with this illness, like he was diagnosed with an illness. And he's like, well, screw it. I'm going to go follow my dream and do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go all in on this. That is the mentality that we more need to have. More people need to have this all in mentality. I was talking to somebody in a one-on-one the other day, and this guy was like, well, I want to have backups in case, things don't work out. And I completely understand this person's perspective. And it's not a bad thing to have backups, right? But you need to be going all in. And this is exactly what I told him. I said, look, man, it's fine to have backups, but if you're not choosing to go all in on something, the backups don't mean anything because you're not going to be doing anything fully. Why even do anything if you're not going to try to do it fully? You have to commit. You have to make a bet on yourself. And this is another reason why relationships are just so screwed up right now, is they don't want to actually commit. They want to commit to the idea of commitment. They don't want to commit to the person. And I don't think it's actually a bad thing sometimes. I probably ought to put this disclaimer earlier, but I don't think it's a bad thing all the time to not, or to ghost somebody if they are disrupting your well-being. It's like if they are the kinds of persons that they want you to be free around them, they want you to be yourself, insofar as they allow you to. Yeah, no, those people are not for you. Okay, but if they're just being free and they seem to genuinely care, there's nothing wrong with communicating with them. But in that instance, if you're not feeling it, the mature thing to do would be to say, look, I have compassion for you, for example. This is what I say to women if I'm not feeling it. I just say, look, I have compassion for you, but I don't think we're compatible. Let them down easy. but be direct and be communicative. It's the best way to just go about it. And even in relationships or business partnerships or whatnot, I'll thank them for everything they've done and just rip it off like a band-aid. Just look, I thank you for doing everything that you've done to build everything. You're either being let go. I've had to fire somebody before in the past, but I don't like to do that, but it's better to just kind of cut them loose. Just rip off that band-aid. You don't want to pull a scab off with the band-aid or anything like that. You don't want to put salt in the wound, right? Just, we're not compatible anymore. Appreciate your business. See ya. And just be direct about it. Sometimes you might have to be a little bit cold, but these are people are presumably grown adults. Treat them like grown adults. Okay, be mature about this. Be communicative, and if there's a problem, you want to solve it, that's fine. Maybe don't always cut people off just whenever something bad happens. Okay, that's not a good mindset to have, because I think that's another reason why people just ghost nowadays. It's like, I think another reason it's like people are just so disappointed. Everybody's just tired of disappointments. And so they'll start to get something going, they'll get a little excited, and then they'll see some red flags and they'll just be like, and then they'll just, they'll leave. Men almost never ghost women unless she showed to be someone she's claiming, or she's showing herself to be someone that she's claiming not to be. Yeah, that's the way to put it. Women ghost men for anything. Women can ghost men for anything and everything, but it depends on the woman, really. But anyways, guys, I think I said everything I wanted to in this video. I hope that it was useful and insightful for you. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, we are doing free 15-minute calls for you to check in and just see if this is going to be something for you. Check out those links in the description box below for that. I do appreciate everybody tuning in, dropping likes, comments, subscribes, follows, etc. If you are interested in supporting me and the Regal Change brand, the best way to do so, if you don't want to join any of the groups that we have or do a one-on-one, just like or comment or subscribe. That's going to be the best way. So I appreciate everybody. Peace be with you all. Until next time.